Donovan Spann, a guide from Black Austin Tours, is here to share some knowledge with us and to talk about what's coming up for Black History Month. Donovan, good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm good. I'm happy to have you here. Let's first talk about Black Austin Tours. You did it first as kind of a volunteer project, and now you're like kind of a full-time intern there.
Yes.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about what it is y'all do?
Yeah, of course. So what we do is that we get the Black history of Austin, and people sign up for a tours, and we guide them through the buildings and tell them about the history of everything, about historical figures. We have our downtown tour, our East Austin tour, and our newest one, which is the Taste and Sounds of the Chitlin Circuit.
The Chitlin Circuit.
Yes.
Tell me more about that.
So the Chitlin Circuit was a string of venues throughout the country where Black performers would go to and perform because of Jim Crow. They were unable to perform at other places, or they couldn't stay at other places. Here in Austin, it was actually 11th Street. So if you go down to East Austin, then you would see 11th Street and still see some of the current buildings like Victory Grill, and then previous ones like Charlie's Playhouse, which you won't see, but still there.
Gotcha. That's so cool. And there's such a slice of history kind of buried just underneath modern Austin.
Yeah, I feel like when most people think of Austin, they don't think of like Black history.
Yeah.
Like when you think of Texas, it's Houston, it's Dallas. Those are the main two, but Austin doesn't really come up. But there's so much. It's such a rich history.
Absolutely. Well, I know, for example, the big ribs underneath I-35, those titanium diodes were supposed to, quote unquote, stitch the history of the city together because there was something called the 1928 city plan. And whenever I tell people that this was a thing, they don't believe me. They have to go look it up. Can you talk to me a little bit about what it was?
Yeah, you wouldn't expect it because, like I said before, most people don't think there are even Black people in Austin. But there have been 13 freedmen colonies.
Whoa.
And so Black people had lived throughout Austin for a long time. Around 1928, that's when they decided they wanted to concentrate the Black population into what they called the Negro District. So they shut off utilities, they closed down schools and forced them all to move to East Austin so that the population could be concentrated. And of course,
The people in power.
yeah, the people in power.
Yeah.
And of course that led to, I want to say it was like 2000, 2010, when Austin was one of the fastest growing cities in America, but the Black population was still shrinking. It was the only city like that. And that was by design.
That is crazy. Yeah, it was like they said, oh, sure, buy land anywhere, but we'll only turn on your utilities if you purchase in this portion of town.
You can only really survive if you move in this one spot.
That is just so crazy. Now changes are coming, of course, to Austin. You did mention your downtown and your east tours. Can you just tell me a little bit more about the both of those?
Yeah, so downtown we start at the Capitol, which was built using penitentiary labor, which is slave labor essentially.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so then we also talk about about slavery within Texas, and like when it was historically Mexico and Spain, and the battle between the Republic of Texas and Mexico, and how there were actually Black people who fought for the Republic, which I still don't personally understand because as we were talking about before, Mexico was promising freedom and the Republic of Texas was behind slavery. They wanted slavery. And of course the Black men who did fight for Texas didn't really get their freedom afterwards.
Absolutely, yeah. And there's just so much to learn on the tour. Not only that, you guys have a special tour coming up on February 1st. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so we have our Taste and Sounds of the Chitlin Circuit.
Okay.
Like I was saying before, we get you get samples from Black restaurants within the area of East Austin. So we have Community Vegan. We ended up with Victory Grill, and the food's amazing.
Yeah.
I've been on it once so far with my boss, Dr. Javier Wallace. He's the one who founded Black Austin Tours, and yeah, it's amazing.
Do you have a favorite dish that you tasted along the way?
A favorite dish? I'm not vegan, but the Community Vegan really made me consider.
Really? That's really saying something.
It is, because I was like, wow, this is good.
You can get some good flavor in vegan cooking, then yeah, you've got me on your side kind of thing. Lady Ozzie Taylor Morton, we wanted to make sure that we made a mention of her because this is Austin that went to a national stage when we talk about Black Austin Tours. Can you tell me a little bit about her life?
Of course. Well, she's not originally from Austin, but she's like nearby, small town. Super small town. She started off as a sharecropper, and then she went to the Texas School for the Blind, and graduated top of her class. She was denied.
So she was a blind woman.
No, her mother. Her mother was, but I think that's why
okay.
she had gone there.
I see. Okay.
And then she was denied the entrance to UT Austin. She ended up going to Houston Tillotson. I think she was the first class of the recently merged Houston Tillotson, because it was two previous other colleges that had merged together, and which is the HBCU. I don't think a lot of people know that Austin actually has an HBCU, Houston Tillotson.
Yeah.
And yeah, so later, after doing a lot of work, she went with the AFL-CIO, and then eventually she became the first and only, unfortunately, Black treasurer under Jimmy Carter.
That is incredible. It blows my mind when you say she started her life as a sharecropper and ended up as the treasurer of the United States.
Something also notable, she helped desegregate Barton Springs.
Oh, yeah. So there used to be kind of like, was there an opportunity for Black people to go to Barton Springs, but it was, separated and had to be at a certain time and place?
I need to double check on this one, but I don't
Okay.
even believe that they were really allowed. They were kind of forced to for an event. So then they would have swim-ins. They would have swim-ins there to desegregate Barton Springs.
Oh my gosh. So a sit-in becomes a swim-in.
Yeah.
And then eventually desegregation. That is so cool. There's just so many things that I feel like people can learn on this tour. I want to make sure that I ask about what else folks should know as far as booking it. Can they just walk up? Where does it begin? All that good stuff.
So we can book on blackaustintours.com. And also follow us on Black Austin Tours on Instagram, because you'll see when we post our tours and what we have coming up. I also did want to talk a bit more about MLK.
Yeah, sure.
Because he
Go
comes-
for it.
Where he fits into the pictures, 1962, about 18 months before he gives his famous I Have a Dream speech, he actually came to Austin and spoke at UT. And he was originally going to stay at the Driscoll Hotel, but due to concerns about his safety there, they moved him into the Union, he was like one of the first people to stay there in their guest room.
Oh my gosh, that's really incredible. So 18 months before that speech that everybody knows.
He spoke here in Austin at UT.
That is so cool. UT's part of history now, too. I love it. We can learn so much from you. And Donovan, just real quickly, I do want to say, do you encourage locals to come on this tour, too? Because I'm sure you get a lot of tourists coming in town saying, okay, this might be a really good lens to see Austin. But I'm talking to you thinking, it might be good for locals to
Yeah, for sure. I think we do get a lot of people coming from like all over the country, but for sure the local population should come and learn more about the Black history of their city.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people don't know these things, and it's kind of sad.
Yeah, let's make sure we have some appreciation as we head into Black History Month.
Bridge the communities.
I love it. Donovan, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
All right, guys, learn more and see the sights of the city by booking a tour with blackaustintours.com and follow them on Instagram to keep up with their events.